Chapter 111. The increasing number of requests for our cavalry to participate in events is a good thing, but it seems a bit excessive. Aside from the simple participation requests, there are quite a few requests for maintaining public order, all from important events where foreign diplomats are involved. Moreover, it hasn't even been a year since the formation of the cavalry, and they want the whole team to attend the largest party of the year held by the imperial palace. What should I make of this intention? It appears that someone is planning to put us in a position where we cannot refuse, came Yudhir's response, to which Kishir lightly nodded in agreement. They broke the rule of keeping all related matters confidential until I gave a response. Not only among our members, but the information has already spread throughout the capital. The Autumn Harvest Festival held in the capital was one of the most significant events in the continent. The Pope himself led the worship and prayer events from outdoor altar at the main temple of the sun god. There was a grand parade featuring the imperial knights of the palace, specially selected elite imperial troops, renowned knights, and mages from various provinces, not to mention countless other major and minor events and competitions held throughout the city for several days. There was no greater honor than to officially participate in an event that attracted numerous foreign diplomats and tourists. There was no better opportunity than this to announce the newly formed cavalry to the whole continent. This was likely that whoever suddenly proposed this also knew this, hence why they had boldly set the stage. Still, you can refuse, can't you? I could. A laugh-tinged answer returned. If you, as the commander, choose to refuse, that would be the end of it. What do you think? Would it be best for me not to be suspicious and reject this overly beneficial offer? The fork that was lightly cutting the fifth piece of the cake stopped. Yudhir, staring into Kishir's red eyes full of expectation, realized that this question was the primary reason he had been called. How would I know? I doubt my opinion would be of much help in your grand decision. He tried to deflect once, but Kishir chuckled and shook his head like a boa constrictor. Why not? Your unique perspective has always been helpful to me. Giving your opinion on such matters is part of an assistant's job, so I would appreciate it if you could speak freely. Well, if it comes to that, Yudhir opened his mouth as he spared a cherry from resembling Cherry's eyes with his fork. Actually, haven't you already made a decision? The reason why they set the stage up and called us is clear. They want to smear the name of the cavalry across the entire continent. Even if you refuse, they could still make a mess at the event, but I guess they wouldn't be satisfied with just that. At Yudhir's words, Kishir gave a satisfied smile, resting his chin elegantly on the hand placed on the armrest. So, I don't know who they are, but you can probably guess. Yudhir continued, recalling that Kishir had said the night before that he had a rough idea of who might be behind this. If you know who the enemy is, you can predict what they'll do. Why retreat needlessly when they are practically handing us a golden opportunity? Isn't it better to bite the bait and use it to our advantage? Is that so? So you're suggesting we do just that? If our commander isn't afraid of challenges, that's what I suggest. As soon as he finished speaking, a piece of cherry and a chunk of whipped cream cake disappeared into Yudhir's stomach in no time. Not afraid of challenges, eh? Kishir broke into a bright smile, tilting his head. You, with your unassuming face, are surprisingly good at saying things that put people in a good mood. It's just my honest opinion. Only you could manage to compliment someone while simultaneously throwing them against the wall. Despite his words, Kishir seemed to be in high spirits. In fact, I already accepted the propositions as you suggested. I have sent my reply. Just as Yudhir had thought, Kishir had already made up his mind. Considering that the Ministry of Internal Affairs was desperately avoiding my contacts till now and suddenly came forward on their own, could anything be better? Someone might have thrown this bait, hoping that our cavalry would become the laughing stock of the continent, but I won't fall for it, nor will I run away. Even though we are a new formation and my members are still inexperienced in many ways, that doesn't mean we are bound to fail. Don't you think so? At his confident, slow voice, a light shiver ran down Yudhir's back. Yudhir answered with sincerity, looking into Kishir's glowing red eyes. Yes. I am truly glad that my assistant and I share the same opinion. It will be a hectic period for a while, but let's succeed in a way that will show them. It might even be entertaining to watch. Hearing this, Yudhir finished the last piece of cake and put his fork down. The sweet aftertaste lingered in his mouth. But who is behind all this? Can you tell me now? Why don't you try guessing with your clever mind, Commander? At Yudhir's low calling, Kishir squinted his eyes in a smile, then opened his mouth. A few days ago, the couriers of the Crown Prince suddenly burst into the palace. I also heard that a courier with a red belt was seen there yesterday. It seems like the Crown Prince is very interested in this event. His answer seemed to come out of nowhere, but it was more than enough for Yudhir to deduce the meaning. Crown Prince Kashtian Lahore. Yudhir recalled the face of the young Crown Prince he had briefly met during their recent visit to the Imperial Palace. He already knew who was behind the boy who hid his cold gaze with a painted smile. Did Duke Diarca get involved? He wondered if it might be due to the Harton case where Keol was involved, but Yudhir shook his head. The bound by oath Keol couldn't inform anyone in the house. Besides, if they had been meddling in the palace for a few days, it couldn't have become the recent incident. And do you remember Count Galen, who visited here a few days ago? While Yudhir was engrossed in his thoughts, Kishir threw in another piece of information. Count Galen, trying to remember where he had heard that name before. Yudhir finally realized who it was after some time. Ah, the man who had come demanding Khana's release. After giving him a good scolding and kicking him out, he had completely forgotten about him. Yes, I remember. Seeing Yudhir's obvious grimace, Kishir laughed heartily. Well, there is no need to try to remember him again. Thanks to the rumors about him, a lot of people have become interested in the cavalry unit. There might be people looking for the members related to that incident during the festival, but just pretend not to know. The courier from the palace either was subtly trying to confirm the truth of the rumor. Ah, yes, I understand. Yudhir responded apprehensively, realizing a bit too late that Kishir's words were another hint. So, they just want to see the cavalry's power for themselves because of that rumor. Then it made sense why Kishir was so relaxed. No one yet knew how much power the cavalry held. It was the perfect time to turn the trap they underestimated into an opportunity. While Yidar was thinking, Kishir continued smoothly. So, for today, we will reduce overall training by half and separate people for participation in each event. You, Nathan, and the deputy commanders of the each division will need to work hard, but you have one more thing you need to do. Are you talking about the investigation of the Redstone? There's that, but there's one more thing. Kishir nonchalantly announced he was adding another task. Did you forget the request you made before you leave? You asked for the authority related to the members' training. Oh, when Kishir nodded, when Yudhir nodded, Kishir handed over a piece of paper with a seal on it, as if he had been waiting for him. I have already approved it. Your individual training with Gakane and Kana was quite impressive. Now that Devon Hartwood has returned, isn't it time to expand the capability to all members? Looking at those confident red eyes, Yudhir found himself speechless. Well, I had planned to do it anyway. He had done this in his previous life, so doing it twice wouldn't make any difference. Yudhir accepted the approval letter and nodded slightly. Understood. Now then, just then, there was a knock on the door. Commander, it's Everbeck. I have come to deliver urgent news. Kishir, who had momentarily turned his gaze to Yudhir, commanded, Come in. As Ever opened the door and entered, her cheeks were flushed, as if she had run here. Seeing Yudhir sit across from the commander surprised her, but she quickly regained her composure, approached and bowed. What's going on? Just now, Jimmy Ochner's second gender manifestation has begun. As we prepared, I have isolated him and came to report.